Welcome back to Twist Grip Tales on our journey to the salt, and the pressing deadline is crushing at the moment. But the good news is here we are back at Rex Wolfenden, that ace tuner for Hondas, large, small and whatever. If you want your Honda to go fast, this is where you bring it. And because this is just a Honda copy, the little Braaap, that's why we're here. And because it's only got one cylinder, Rex is able to concentrate on just one cylinder, not having to worry about 4 cylinders. So that's a good thing. Now this is the same engine that we had on the Dyno last time. The same bike, same engine. The only difference is that we got 3rd place at Phillip Island with this motor. So what have we done since? This has now got a high compression piston in it. We've got a longer duration, higher lift cam. We've got race fuel in the tank, race fuel, Power Plus 102 race fuel in the tank. And we're running a higher voltage coil, and we're running a bigger carby. So let's hope that we're going to get a few more horsepower out of this, because we came so close to the Australian record unofficially down at Phillip Island. We're hoping that this engine, this bike, is going to get us to an Australian land speed record. Let's see what the Dyno says, because the Dyno doesn't lie. It seems to have lost its reasonable reading.
It's not running on the main jet, I'd say. I'll just check it. I'd say the jet's too big. There is something tremendously wrong there, Bruce. That air fuel is everywhere. Have a look at it. That's meant to be a straight curvature. That is just cutting on and off. Gee, I wonder if it's not an ignition or something like that. Something's doing it. Yeah, you don't know what the cam timing is, as in opening, closing, inlet and exhaust?
It's around about, at 1 mil, it's around about 20 degrees for the inlet, opening before top dead centre at 1 mil, and
closing after
is about 20 degrees after bottom dead centre. with about 7 mil of lift, which is about 1.5 mil up on a standard one.
That's just miles away, miles away. Maybe I checked it right. It reeks of the cam timing is chronically wrong or something. Look, for what it's worth, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. That's not making horsepower, that's just nothing.
It's just running. Yeah. All right.
It's just running. That air fuel, that's just all those hopeless squiggles there. It doesn't know what it's doing. It starts off and then just chonks up and down and the meter's going up.
So 19 is, so she was running at 11s and that sort of stuff. So that's on the rich end, but 19's way down on the lean end.
Oh, up there it is, yeah. But that's only stationary. That goes to 19. That's just sized up, ready to go.
Oh, okay.
10's the last. It signs off at 10 and it doesn't go beyond 19. But
Okay.
it's a pretty good variation because it should be between sort of 12 and
13.
13.
Yep.
With a relatively straight curvature without too much.
Well, sadly, this is sitting on 12.9 and 13 all the time, and I don't trust it.
Well, my land is reasonably accurate. I mean, it's all a good system and all of that. Not really sure. Look, it's hard to know.
Maybe I'll just pull the float bowl off, because that it shouldn't be sitting. The float bowl shouldn't be chock a block like that.
No.
It should be down a bit. So maybe what I'll do is pull the carby off.
It's quite shitty down the bottom.
I'll pull the carby off and try and sort that float level out. We've only put this. we tore the manifold with the 34 mil carby on it. We ran it at Phillip Island with the 32, but the bloody manifold, and I haven't got a replacement 32 mil manifold. I've only got this one that'll fit the 28. And so the 28 hasn't been run for quite some time. So it may have a sticky needle in there.
Remarkable improvement. It's just too rich. Go back to.
Drop the needle? No?
It's not on the needle, it's on the main jet.
Okay.
It's on the main jet. Okay,
So that's peaking, is that peaking at 11 horsepower?
No, it's peaking at 17. It's just not clean, that's all. Air fuel's still all over the joint, but that's improved out of sight, and I'm not really sure what's really causing that, but anyhow, first things first, what we'll do, only improved it out of sight. You see all the big squiggles?
Yeah.
Now just reduced to quarter-size squiggles, which is definitely a step.
So yes, yeah. All right.
It's not clean up top, and just why I need to go further. What did you put in, a 140?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're going to come back to what we originally had.
135
back in it. We'll only go baby steps, because that's already, if it would straighten out a little bit, it's not straightening out because there's a combination, it's wrong. is why it's dancing around. But your air fuel should go something across like that. It's always going to have a wave in it.
Yeah, yeah.
So that flat out there still on the main is too rich, and that's why it won't rev.
Oh,
If
okay,
I don't
all right.
put it hard on the full throttle, 3/4 throttle, it was okay. And then it's coming back down to sort of 12.
So she was
So
there,
it's
what's
only-
that? So 6 to 7, 6.5 to 7, she's up around nearly 13
Yeah,
and then
but
drops
that's only
away.
'cause it's spiking.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not even, you see. We'll sneak down one jet at a size, chuck a 135 in it.
135 RS.
Yeah. See, with more compression and better cam timing, given that the cam timing is better, it doesn't always mean it needs more fuel. It's quite the opposite. If you get the motor to go bang and burn what it's got more efficiently, it's often too much fuel, you know. It's compression, definitely, when you bring the compression up, you've got to come up on the fuel as a rule, but you've just not come up on the compression, you've done other things. If you're doing one thing at a time, you can pick what's changing. And what was the compression before, do you reckon, standard?
Bit over 8,
Yeah, what's it now?
just over 10.
Yeah, okay, that's certainly a fair sort of a step, and that's getting up there. But anyhow, it's telling me at this stage it's rich on the main jet. We'll try and improve.
So this is what the... that's the piston we raced with. That's what we had in it before. And this is the... Oh, these are so expensive out of China, Rex. You've got no idea. These are 30...
Yeah. Okay.
So that's all it is.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a fair bit, but it's not over the top either. So
No,
okay.
no, yeah.
That's just a moderate increase. Give me a 135 and we'll see how we get on.
135 RS, all right.
Amazing how it spikes up like that and just falls away to nothing, like it doesn't breathe. But it's not breathing up top, it's just pulling down chronically rich, you see. Whereas on acceleration, we're starting to get it up a little lean when you wrap it on. It's
Good, that's how it should go, shouldn't it?
no, it's just not such a good combination in the whole thing, but it's not so bad. It's not so bad. Bruce, I'd be curious to see what one size smaller main jet does.
So would I.
Yeah, that's nearly rideable. It's still a little bit chonky down the bottom, which is no big deal.
I don't care about the bottom.
No, mind you, don't want to go for the doctor on the jet too much because you're obviously going to be over there with the thing flat out. But it's bizarre how it just climbs up on power and then just absolutely falls in a fucking
tapers
hole.
off.
Oh, big time, like 100 miles an hour. That's only really, well, it's got not much better than what we actually achieved last time with the other engine. It's just on 20 horsepower, 19.8.
Yeah.
But-
Well, it's exactly the same horsepower as we got last time.
Yeah.
With the
Is that
without
the
the
smaller
cam.
carb?
Yeah, it's a 28mm
So
carb.
compression's never going to give you more horsepower. It'll give you more torque and it'll give you better acceleration, but it won't give you more horsepower. The thing that gives it more horsepower is to get the motor to breathe better and get more opportunity out of when it goes bang. That's all how it goes. It
Yep.
powers from the gudgeon pin up.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
All what's happening in the cylinder head, it's just, without knowing the structure of the cam and where you're at and that sort of stuff. Anyhow, one more time, give us a 130 main jet.
130.
Can we put the big carb on it? Because that's a 125 carby. That's what I run on my 150.
Yeah, I know. But
28
we
mil.
don't have a manifold.
What about the one I gave you?
Well, it won't, it'll put the carby pointing
Jam.
at this, so
Ah, okay.
so it won't.
Well,
If I take the bell mouth off, maybe the carby will, because it's a shorter one.
We usually run the 30 on, don't we?
Maybe it'll come back to about here. Maybe it just might fit. It might just fit on. Maybe. We can try. I've got a 34 there. We can try the 34 on it.
You know, it just is a bit disappointing the way it just plateaus off, so just falls into a complete hole.
Yeah.
Like, you know, makes power and then just absolutely goes nowhere.
Well, with the old piston and the much more conservative cam in it, we were pulling 10,000 revs down the main straight of Phillip Island.
Yeah, but you're making no power.
It's making no power,
It
it's
was
just
making no
sitting
power, yeah. Yeah, that was, if
making-
you did the mathematics on it, that was actually still making power even to 8,000 revs, and you went through the gearing, that bike would have been 25 miles an hour faster.
Well,
all it's doing is just sitting there.
The clutch was breaking away at 8,000 revs, so that's where the torque was when the clutch, and it wasn't until it got to 9,000 revs that the clutch bit again and it took off.
Don't understand how it can happen.
No.
If it's slipping, it's slipping.
You're
It's
right.
not going to bite it more up.
There was no-
And where they'll generally slip, where you get, as a rule, the most slippage, it's climbing on power, it's peaking out of power there.
Yep.
And that's where it will slip,
Yep.
right there,
Yep.
where it starts to want to go.
Yeah. Well,
Once
that's
it's gone,
That's-
I get them on the dyno where I run them and the clutch needs replacing. But once it gets
Once
over
it's
the slip on the clutch
That's
and
it.
that big run of horsepower's gone, you actually get the rest of the graph reading. It's just got a step in it from where the clutch has got them going nowhere.
Yeah.
Needless to say, you put a fresh clutch in it and you get a proper
Bang.
grip
Yeah.
off the whole thing.
It's blowing mist back out the carburettor at peak revs. I think it's valve bouncing.
Gouge it.
No. It's coming out of the engine. It's blowing back. What do you think, Rex?
It's just basically wrong in the combination, the cylinder head. The valve port ratio size is wrong, the exhaust pipe's wrong and the carby's wrong. That's all why it is misting so bad at full throttle. It's very hard to overcome, but when that's excessive, and it's going to be more noticeable on the bigger carby, of course, because it's got less velocity, that just made it go slower.
Okay.
All the way down the line, we dropped about 3 horsepower. And the air fuel, you can see the graph that it's got, it's actually not pulling down quite as rich. It's going across a little bit further, but reacts differently because of the no velocity in it. Okay, didn't drop that much, 18.6, and we had it nearly towards 20, nearly 18 and a half.
All right.
18.5 horsepower.
Yes, 18 and a half horsepower that was, and that was on the last run.
At 6.5.
There's your green line.
Yep.
It's earlier. Making peak power earlier.
Yep.
Again, all about velocity and the
Yep.
size of the carburettor.
Yeah.
Whereas this one peaked up here. So, it's dropped a few horsepower, all right. But amazingly enough, it didn't drop down as bad. That purple one there was the last one we did with your 135 main, and that actual fact has climbed down at full revs even richer. Like, you know, it's fallen down more distinctly than that. It's just the nature of it. Brucey, it's just an old engine that was designed in the 60s or early 70s, and you're working with what you're working with. In actual fact, you run such tall gearing on it, you should, well, it's not relevant to revving it over 7,500 revs. All you're doing is just marking time. How the motor fucking holds together, I do not know, when it just free revs at 10,000 when it's not making any power. I've got no idea how that works. It must be a little bit strong in the engine down the bottom or something.
The main bearings are bigger than my Ducati 750 bearings. They are massive bearings.
So what speed is it doing? Do we know?
It's on relatively light gearing. I shouldn't have. Yeah. Okay. It's doing 146.
146.
Yeah.
Kilometres an hour.
Yep.
That's a lot.
No, in actual fact, I'm wrong. The bottom, it's doing 106. The traction effort's 146.
Yeah.
It's on the bottom scale.
Oh,
Road
okay.
speed,
Yep.
Kilometres per hour. So it's doing a bit over 60 miles an hour.
All right. Well, we were doing 78 with the old configuration.
Yeah, well, you would have been because, of course, you had the long run all the way down the hill. And
Yeah,
once
yeah,
not making any power, it would still, long enough, it would still pick up speed.
Yeah.
That's making 60 miles an hour, but the run to do that, like if you timed on the clock,
Yeah.
it's 6 or 7 seconds, and
Well-
it's to peak power.
Well, it was dropping off. There was no horsepower to talk of. I think it was running at about 10 horsepower with the old thing at about 9,000 revs, and it wasn't until we got to Phillip Island it showed 10 grand, just over 10 grand on the tacho. But I have a feeling that we're valve bouncing a little bit too. So that's probably why it's dropping off there at 8.5 or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
the air fuel's right up as well. What size main did you put in it?
140's in there.
Okay, well, that's pulling up on 14, whereas as much as the air fuel graph is really messy, your purple one, where you got your vest on the purple, there's the air graph there, across
Yeah.
there, and it flat out it's coming right down to 12, but where it's happy to run on the way up here, at
It's
least,
close. It's closer to 13.
It's about 12 and a half or something, whereas the carbon we've just run, you're all up here. It's up between 13 and 14. For what it's worth, we'll get a few more kilometres an hour out of it if you like. Maybe go up on the main jet.
Up on the main jet.
Yeah, well that's just showing lean. I don't want it to blow up in any case when you're getting up into the
That's
mid
right.
13s towards high 14s. That's getting a bit dangerous. If you had a look at the plug now, it'd be probably pretty greyish.
All right.
Way down the line.
Well, she was pretty sooty black before,
Well,
so
It hasn't been rich the whole time we've run it, not chronically rich, other than it's rich at full throttle. Just see what it says. It may have cleaned it up a bit. May have. There you go, Phil. All right, sir. Good pal.
"12 runs on the dyno." What we've found out is that it's making so close to 20 horsepower, 20 real horsepower. That's at the back wheel horsepower, not talking about crankshaft horsepower here. And Rex is very enthusiastic about this little motor. He's really surprised that it's done what it's done down at Phillip Island.
Yes, very surprised. Very surprised. It was
And-
your riding ability that did it all.
It definitely was not. So we've finished up. We've finished up with full advance on the ignition box. We've got the big 32mm carby. This motor's been bored out 2mm to 67 mils, which is one of the standard bores for one of these. We've got a Chinese piston in it, running a little bit, about 10-to-1 compression. We've got a lumpy cam in it with a bit more duration, but we're not making any more horsepower than it was when we took it to Phillip Island with all the standard stuff in it. So
Not really responding to the changes. The changes aren't quite right yet. But you'll work on it, Bruce. You're the man.
we're working on it, that's right. So you want a pizza delivered quickly? This is definitely the pizza delivery bike to do it. No problems at all. So that's it, yibbity yibbita. That's all, folks. The dyno, we're still revving hard and we're still off to the salt. Woohoo!